What's good, everybody? RJ Sean here back with another episode of Off the Top Show, BD Boys Edition. As you see on the screen here, I got my good brother James Muenchow, aka Jimmer. What's happening, brother?
Boy, I'll tell you what, I thought I was going to melt away this past week. You were there for one of the days. Boy, it was hotter than a fart on a grill. Oh my God, bro. I thought I was going to die. So we had to endure 90, 92, 93 degree heat Saturday, Sunday, and even yesterday was a little hot up in there. We made it through. It's a balmy 78 degrees now. Barely made, Jesus. I was damn near about to get the coat out. I was so cold. Just kidding about that. It was also 95 degree humidity. So we made it through. We, for some reason, golfed on Sunday morning. Now, we golfed at 7:30 a.m., got out a little bit of the heat. But then at 10:30, not so good. Not so fun. But it was fun. But it was like, what are we doing here? Why are we doing this? But we had a great weekend. Some stuff happened over the weekend, and it's very noteworthy to talk about.
No, absolutely. Let's go ahead and hop into the Packers here, our beautiful Green Bay Packers. We talked about the offensive in the previous series. We're going to go ahead and switch over to the defense. Jeff Hafley, second year. I said this earlier tweeting-wise. I say we need to go ahead and extend him middle of the season just due to what he's done, and I feel in 1 year, because I feel that he's done what I've already needed to see. With what he did last year, guys being injured and still being able to get us to a playoff, still being able to have a defense that was worthy of going ahead and putting us in games and being able to adapt, being able to do what he needs to do for the team to get to, obviously, the playoffs on a consistent basis. Just looking at the starters right now, obviously this is all probably going to change, but when we really look at it from a depth perspective, I'll just go ahead and start from, obviously, the corners and then all the way to the box. So obviously Hobbs, we got him on that trade from the Raiders. We got Nixon as the right corner right now. Obviously we have McKinney at the free safety spot, Williams at the strong safety spot, Valentine as the left corner, McDuffie, we have him as a Sam. We got Cooper as the middle linebacker. We got Walker as the Will. And then we have Gary at the right D end. We have Wyatt at the right D tackle. And we have Clark at the left D tackle. And we have Lucas Van Ness at the left D end. Just reading that off, you are like, holy shit. That is a pretty solid defense. That is not bad for those names. And then the backups are even better. You got Butler, you got Robinson, you got Anderson, you got, obviously, from the DM, one of the guys from Texas, Sorrell, that we went ahead and picked up, that basically everyone just looked past him like he wasn't good enough, and we go ahead and take him, I think, in the second round. Brooks, Cox Jr., Walden. There's a lot of guys on here that can play ball. And that first team starter guys that we have, that's a really good lineup. Talk to me about this and what you're seeing. Some, what do you think's going to happen? And some, holy shit, like, hey, we're good.
So let me just start off. So let's start with the easy stuff, and that's our secondary. You got Keyshawn Nixon at the outside. You got Carrington Valentine. I forget. Corey Ballantyne was a free agent, or was a guy on the team last year. He got let go. Valentine. They were a law firm at one point. They dismembered this past summer. But Carrington Valentine, who is going to be the other outside guy. Nate Hobbs is going to be the backup / your slot corner. So anytime they go nickel, he's going to be that guy. You might have an injury or two, or you could rotate these guys potentially to keep them fresh, keep them, help them with the injuries. And Then on the back end, you got Xavier McKinney. Just literally, I don't even know why they like. He watches so much film. Like, we heard a lot of stories of him yesterday on how he eats, sleeps, and breathes football. He knows plays from packages. He just is a very intelligent guy, which is a guy you want on the back end, basically pointing and lining everybody up. And then you got Javon Bullard. I don't know if you could have a better guy in Xavier McKinney to mentor young safeties, with Javon Bullard and Evan Williams, two rookies, which Javon Bullard was expected to do something, which he did. And Evan Williams wasn't expected, but he just burst on the scene and looked like a vet. The guy just was athletic. He could play the back. He could play the nickel. So this secondary is solid. Like, it's going to be a really good secondary. When you have the threat of Xavier McKinney going, throw a ball over the top, I dare you, I double dare you. Because he's just going to be there. It really shortens your field, but that's where the other 10 guys in front of him got to do something. Like we saw Nixon make a couple plays last year. And by the way, I'm not even going to say Jair Alexander's name, even though he did have 2 picks and he had a pick 6, but he was there for 7 games. We're going to have to talk about what we didn't have, which was Jair Alexander. And Carrington Valentine was very good. So, and now you just added another key component in Nate Hobbs, who can play the inside, which that was the weakness in this defense last year, was their slot corner. Yet Javon Bullard did okay, but there's times he looked like a rookie. But he was the more physical guy. Like if there was a run, they ran a nickel and Javon Bullard was near the line of scrimmage. I was like, good luck, because that boy is a heat-seeking missile.
Right.
Evan Williams played just athletic. Like, he's just an athlete. He just has a nose. Just, it's just really good to see from a 4th-round pick. So then we go to the linebackers. The name you didn't mention was Isaiah Simmons, which I honestly think you got Quay Walker. They just declined his option. And what him and Edgerrin Cooper are probably going to start. Edgerrin Cooper's the dude. Like, let's cut all the talk about Xavier McKinney's probably the leader of the defense, but up front, Edgerrin Cooper is the dude. Like, he is that guy. So that's the guy. Defenses go, okay, there's 29 right there. Who's the other one? There's 56. We got to look at these 2. They're not circling 7, even though 56 makes 7 better, Quay Walker. But then you kind of look at Isaiah Simmons. He had a really good year with the Giants. And oh my God, you're going to start this already right mid. He couldn't even wait till a break. So we're just going to do this right now. Please hold. And we're going to just get right back into it. We're not even going to talk about it. I think it's an addition for Isaiah Simmons to go, can you be better than Quay Walker? Because they declined Quay Walker's option for his 5th year because he was a 1st-round pick. He's in the 3rd year of his deal, and that's when you got to make decisions on 5th-rounders or 5th years, which it doesn't make sense to me, but whatever. And they declined it. So this isn't his last year as a Packer. Next year will be. But I think Green Bay is basically saying, you're not worth – I think he was owed 20. And for his play the past 2 seasons or 3 seasons, he's not worth that. Not only – elite linebackers, like if we look up who are the top paid inside linebackers, they may be making 20 million, but what I've seen from Quay Walker, 20 million is the top, and it just drops 19. He's not worth that money. Like, you're out of your mind if you're thinking. He's not even worth top 5 money, in my opinion. Now, has he played with some really not so good coordinators? Yes. He played under Joe Barry primarily. Devondre Campbell, which thank God that motherfucker's out of here. But Devondre Campbell had nothing but good things to say about Quay Walker. He said he's a dog. Okay. And then he ridiculed the system that Quay has been in before Jeff Hafley. They made him think too much. You just got to let the boy go play. Okay. So we got 1 year of Quay Walker just going to play. And when he played alongside Edgerrin Cooper, boy, was it beautiful. Like, it was crazy how good it was. But, again, Quay's had some injuries. Edgerrin Cooper's also had some injuries. So, then you bring in Isaiah McDuffie. I'm going to say this right now. During any passing situation, Isaiah McDuffie should never be on the field. Because we saw him so many times during run situations. If you can get him in a run situation, he's great. He's physical. He's big. He's thick. Great reaction in that sense on the run. We saw it in Detroit last year where they got him matched up against Jahmyr Gibbs so many times where he just was outmatched and outmanned. Everyone hyped him up after the Miami game, which, by the way, Miami came into a 7-degree Lambeau Field, and Isaiah McDuffie's from the north. He's like, this is great. I play in this all the time, where Miami walked in and it was like, can we go back that way? It's warmer that way. So everybody praised him. They were stuck in the mud. Miami couldn't move. They didn't want to get hit. They were playing slow, where Isaiah McDuffie thrives in cold weather. So when you got to the neutral field inside of the dome, everything was faster. He was slow. So that's where I think Isaiah Simmons is going to come in. He's probably going to be your pass. If Quay Walker and Edgerrin Cooper are not in the field, he's going to be your pass specialist thing. But the other thing about Isaiah Simmons, which we get into the edge rushers, which defensive tackles are pretty easy. You got Devontae Wyatt and you got Kenny Clark. I mean, they got rid of TJ Slayton. It's going to be really dependent on if Devontae Wyatt and Kenny Clark can stay healthy. If they can't stay healthy, I mean, Green Bay was really, really good against the run last year without Devontae Wyatt a lot, but they had TJ Slayton, and TJ Slayton was a load to move. So, if they stay healthy, that's going to help the pass rush aspects of it, because you need big bodies to push the pocket in, and so guys can't step up. Now we're going to get to the pass rush, where now I have some stats here. The Packers ranked 7th overall in tackling last year, and we've seen some really horrendous tackling Packer teams where we're like, Jesus. They were 7th in tackle efficiency and yards allowed after a missed tackle, so they didn't miss many. Or if they did miss one, they rallied to the ball really well. Xavier McKinney made a huge impact. Run defense, they were in the top 7, I think, again, for a run defense. They were very strong, and they were a very good run stop defense. And then the problem came with the pressure rate, the pass rush. The Packers defense generated a pressure on 30% of opponent dropbacks. That was 4th lowest. So that means 7 out of 10 times they had no pressure. 7 out of 10 times the quarterback dropped back to pass and there was no pressure. They sit back there and eat a fucking sandwich all day long. So that's where we get to what is the key to this defense, and it's the damn pass rush. We saw the Eagles do it in the Super Bowl, where all they were doing is what Matt LaFleur said he wants to do. And it's a copycat league, and the Eagles did it. I mean, every good team, yes, you incorporate some blitzes every now and again. You got to keep the defense honest. But if you can just drop 7, place 4 underneath and 3 over the top, like Matt LaFleur wants, and get after him with 4, and we saw what the Eagles did with Jalen Carter and Brandon Graham and Nolan Smith, and I'm probably missing another guy that I think the other guy that went to the Arizona Cardinals. They did it with all those boys, and Kansas City had no answer for it. Absolutely no answer for it. So the inside dudes like a Jalen Carter, Devontae Wyatt, not saying he's Jalen Carter, but another Georgia dude, looks really good. He looks like if he can stay healthy, he's got a quick first step. He's very explosive off of his stance, but he's had health issues and he cannot stay healthy. And then Kenny Clark's just getting up there with age. He did not have a very good season last year. Everyone keeps saying, well, Kenny's got no help. At what point do we just stop using that as an excuse? So Kenny Clark's got to step up this year. Now we go to the Packers edge rushers. This was the sole problem of why they were bad last year at defense. I mean, yes, there were you saw some broken coverages, but at the beginning of the year, you saw Xavier McKinney get 7 interceptions in 7 games. There's a reason for that. It was, Jeff Hafley saw that he couldn't get there with the original 4, so he had to play mind games, and those mind games worked. He put 7, 8 on the line. He rushed 4, but it wasn't the original 4. It may have been Edrin Cooper, a safety, 2 linemen. It was just like, okay, who's coming? We don't know. Somebody's going to get here, but we don't know who it is. So It was just practically a guessing game, and the confusion of that helped. So last year, the Green Bay Packers started with Rashawn Gary. They started with Rashawn Gary, Preston Smith, Brenton Cox Jr., J.J. Enagbare, and I believe that was it, and Lucas Van Ness. And I think that was it. Aaron Mosby kind of made a cameo every now and again, which looked pretty good. Like he looked just like a guy that was hungry, and that's what you really want. And then it just became like, okay, Rashawn Gary and Lucas Van Ness are literally doing nothing. J.J. Enagbare was a good rush defensive end. Like he was really good at defending the rush. Brenton Cox Jr. was your most effective pass rusher. And then I saw this stat, and I just shook my head. I couldn't believe it. Last season, Lucas Van Ness, your first round draft pick from 2 seasons ago. All season last year, he had 45 pressures on the quarterback that registered as a pressure. He had 45 of them all season. Aiden Hutchinson in the 5 games he had last year had 45. Now, am I comparing Aiden Hutchinson to Lucas Van Ness? Absolutely not. That's not fair to Lucas Van Ness. But this is a first-round pick, 13th overall compared to number 1. I think Brenton Cox Jr. had more pressures than Lucas Van Ness, and I think Brenton Cox Jr. was a 7th-round pick. This is a problem and I think we're going to see what we saw with the wide receiver room that we saw this year. It was the wide receivers didn't step up this year. or last year, I'm sorry. So what did the front office do? We're going out and getting more. We're going to draft one in the first round who looks really good, as we talked last week. And guess what? We went and drafted another one with our top round picks in the third round. So this was, you know what happened to the wide receiver room last year? That's going to happen next year if y'all don't show out. So Lucas Van Ness, guess what, brother? I'm sorry to say it. Unless you have 15 sacks this year, your fifth round option's getting declined. You're no chance they're paying him in excess of $20 million. Sean Gary, we just signed you to a huge deal. Time to show out. Now, it was his first year off of the knee injury, but that's no excuse. You're getting paid that amount of money. You need to fucking do something. So, and then you bring in Baron Sorrell, which, Jesus H. Christ, again, as I said earlier, for the fact that he was a fourth-round pick is kind of crazy. I mean, not that he should have been first round, but maybe could have been third or second round, maybe second round, but probably more in the third round. This dude's a brick shit house. Holy Jesus. I thought he had legs coming out of his shoulders. Like, I don't even know how they had enough cloth to put a suit on that man. So I think he will put pressure on Lucas Van Ness. JJ Enagbari has proven to be a really good backup defensive pass rusher. Brenton Cox Jr. has proven he's been a really good backup pass rusher. And Aaron Mosby, shocking again, another really good backup pass rusher. So I think the depth aspect is there when you look at second and able to rotate guys in if a guy goes down. The depth is there, but you don't have guys. Remember, we've had this conversation with the wide receiver room. You have a bunch of guys, lowercase g, lowercase u, lowercase y, lowercase s. You don't have guys, capital G, capital U, capital Y, capital S. You don't have any of them. You may have a dude in Rashawn Gary, maybe, but he ain't the guy. He's a dude. He kind of does some things. That's about it. You don't have we talked about when everybody wanted Myles Garrett and Max Crosby, by the way. Told you it wasn't happening. Not to you, but to like everybody else that thought it was happening. It was absolutely not happening. No. Sorry, everybody.
Wasn't happening.
Not to be pessimistic, but let's be real here. It ain't happening. So Packers don't have a guy. So they made the wrong evaluation of Rashawn Gary, in my opinion, because the guy had 2 years ago, he went on an absolute tear where it was like, holy Moses. Like, I think it was for 5 games, he had 6-7 sacks. So for 2013, he had 9 sacks. That was all in a 6-game stretch from weeks 3 to, I want to say the week after Kansas City. Or the week of Kansas City, because he had 3 sacks at Thanksgiving against Detroit. And I think he had 1 against Kansas City, which was 4. So then you put 5 before that. The rest of the season and that was week 13. So the remaining games of that season, he had a half a sack. And that included 2 playoff games. Inexcusable. And then last year, again, you're getting paid $20-something million. He didn't miss a game. He played all 17 games. It's not like he was hurt. He had 7.5 sacks. Aiden Hutchinson had just as many sacks as he did in 5 games.
Yeah.
Again, did anyone compare Rashawn Gary to Aiden Hutchinson? No. But he should know Aiden Hutchinson. He played with him. I think he played with him. He may have squeaked out there before Aiden Hutchinson got there. But same Michigan dude, 7.5 sacks, $20 million, excess of $20 million. So I'm starting to think, I think Green Bay, and it's not like Rashawn Gary doesn't work hard. He just doesn't look like a pass rusher. He doesn't look like the finesse pass rusher like Max Crosby and Aiden Hutchinson. They got moves. They got moves in their bag to go, okay, are they going to spin? Are they going to bull rush? Are they going to speed rush? Are they going to take a step in? Are they going to rip? Rashawn Gary doesn't have that. His move is, let me run right through you. And maybe let's duck under. That's it. Lucas Van Ness, same fucking story. They drafted him because he looked like an athlete. Well, why don't you draft somebody who looks like a pass rusher?
Right.
Like, I know you want to develop them into it, but if there's a guy on the board, Nolan Smith, who looks like a pass rusher, I don't understand why you don't get him. And I think Green Bay kind of turned it around this year with the Matthew Golden thing. They didn't draft Yes, Matthew Golden was a huge athlete. Great, but they said that he had the best hands and he looks the part of a wide receiver. He looks like a wide receiver. He doesn't look like an athletic guy trying to play wide receiver. He looks like a wide receiver. And by the way, he just so happens to be athletic. That helps. So Lucas Van Ness and Rashawn Gary were athletes, really good athletes. You played against Rashawn Gary, and you said this dude is a fucking freak. Like
Yes,
it was. I mean, he still is. I mean, I follow him on Instagram. I see that boy working out, and I get tired. I'm like, ugh, stop that. Just keep scrolling. I'm gonna get tired just looking at it. But it just doesn't translate to the field. It sometimes did when he had a guy on the other side of him to help with Preston Smith and Za'Darius when they were both there. But other than that, when he's the guy, he hasn't proven anything. And we just signed him to a 4-year deal. So he's going to be a guy where if he doesn't start proving himself, he's going to be the restructured guy that gets less money. He's going to have to start taking less money. So we will see. But that's basically where the Packers defense stands at. This is year 2 of Jeff Hafley. They only got 1 new defensive pass rusher, possibly 2, because again, Isaiah Simmons did play edge rusher last year with the Giants. But I wouldn't be surprised if he was more middle linebacker. But if you don't see production from the defensive line, and again, they have a new defensive line coach this year too. Maybe coaching can help them a little bit. I don't know. Maybe you can speak on this a little bit. I don't know how much a new coach is going to move the needle. It might move the needle a little bit. I think it may move it 5%, if anything.
No, I think.
I mean, I just don't know how. I mean, he was the defensive coordinator for the Patriots, so the guy knows what to do. But I don't know how much coaching on this defensive line is going to move the needle to all of a sudden make Rashawn Gary and Lucas Van Ness look like studs.
Yeah, I think
maybe 5%. I say
5%. Yeah, but that 5% is a big 5% because then that adds to the 95 to 100 of what actually the defense can potentially be. I mean, it does help because what if we start seeing that, like, hey, listen, like, I'm on them every single day. Like, I remember back at Michigan State where we had an unreal D-line. We were like top 3 in the NCAA for defense. D-line was about top 5. Great coach that we had, but it was just challenging them every day, like being on them. Like, listen, like, you need to go ahead and maximize your whole potential. Maybe Gary wasn't getting that type of coaching to where he's like, hey, like, you need to go. Like, he didn't get where Clay Matthews got in his ear, like, hey, it's time. Like, reminding him, like, you got to keep going. Like, you can't take breaks off. Like, this little, like you said,
I mean,
we up and under you have, this press that you think is going to work, you got to switch it up. So
I mean,
it possibly can go ahead and work out to where it does happen to where this does move the needle. Do I think it moves the needle crazy? No, but it's going to move something.
I mean, Matt LaFleur came out and said it halfway through the season last year. Look, I need more from Rashawn Gary, but then he protected his player. But I think Rashawn Gary needs more from me.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you just basically said what Matt LaFleur said. Rashawn needs to do more. Like, we're not stupid. Obviously, he's not doing enough, but also maybe that's our fault.
Right.
So we'll see if this new D coordinator, maybe just a change of attitude. Maybe he just comes in and lights their ass up on fire where the other guy, I kind of have a hard time imagining a D-line coach or an edge rush outside line. I mean, I don't even know what you want to call it because there's 17 different positions now in defense. A position coach doesn't come into a defensive line meeting just lighting them up for that kind of performance and those kind of stats. So I don't know. Maybe, again, it does that. Maybe he just comes in and goes, look, boys, your attitude's going to change. Or else I heard from up top, whatever happened to the wide receiver room this year, it's going to be you guys next year. So if y'all don't want young boys coming in here taking your jobs, you better fucking buckle up and you better get to work. Like, I mean, it's going to be it might be like, it's going to be a group effort. Like, I'm coming in here too. Like, I might get fired too, but we need to do more in order for our defense to succeed. And I think everybody can see that because they watched the Eagles in the Super Bowl. Again, the Eagles got after the Chiefs with 4. And that's how Matt LaFleur wants to play. So, again, if you don't do it, and I think this is going to be the message, if you don't do it, I'll get guys in here who will. Or we'll start having tryouts. Like, I'll bring guys in, we'll try them out. And if it sticks, then guess what? We'll roll with it. So I think the only person that's safe is Rashawn Gary because no other defensive pass rusher is under contract, like a big-time contract. I mean, Lucas Van Ness with his first-round pick type contract, but he's going to get declined. He's not going to get a fifth-year option. Unless he goes off for 15 to 20 sacks this year, he's not getting fifth-round option. And Rashawn Gary might start getting like, yo, we're going to have to restructure your deal here, big fella, because you ain't cutting the mustard. I mean, it looks like, and obviously Rashawn Gary is very, driven in the sense of if he has goals, he really works hard to get them. Money might be that thing. Hey, big fella, we're gonna start restructuring your deal, and your deal is gonna be based on results. Shit, I mean, money's a great motivator in this goddamn league. So we'll see. But the main thing I'm gonna be focusing on is this pass rush. Yes, everybody's gonna be It's gonna happen, bro, and it's gonna drive me nuts. It's gonna be like week 1. A big play is gonna happen over the top, or like Carrington Valentine and Keyshawn Nixon are going to give up like a couple hundred yards of passing, which isn't their fault because maybe the pass rush can't get there, and somebody's going to drop a Jair Alexander comment, and I'm going to lose my shit. Like
get ready for it.
It's going to happen, or some play is going to happen. Be like Jair Alexander would have made that play, and I'm gonna break my phone. I'm gonna do something because I'm gonna be like, there it is, called it. I wish there was a bet on this, like at a sports betting site. Will there be a Jair Alexander could have done this, or this defense would have been better with Jair Alexander tweet? Yes, my rent money on it, please, because it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. But I honestly think this defense is gonna shine. But the circles and the people on the hot seat right now are not Jeff Hafley, but they are the defensive line. And they better show out this year for whatever happened in the wide receiver room of this year with the drafting of 2 wide receivers in the first 3 rounds. That's going to be next year. They're not going to have any lost sleep over it. The front office won't. They're going to be like, all right, we did this last year. Let's do it again this year just with edge rushers. Go.
I'm right with you on that, man. But nah, this is going to be a serious year. I can't wait. It's almost here. Obviously, I think camp's either like middle of July, maybe end of July. However that goes down, we'll be on top of it. So let's move on over to the Brewers. 43-36. Last 10 games, 7-3. God, talk about bats being on fire for Christian Yelich, Cheerio, Terang. I mean,
everybody.
Contreras, Hoskins. It's like a home run derby. We went ahead and sweep the Twins. That was a home run derby, basically.
Of the Twins, my God.
And then we went ahead and split with the Cubs. We
went ahead and postponed.
Right, which was stupid. 2-1 against the Cardinals. Hey, we're playing well. We got obviously we lost to the Pirates 5-4. But that was nuts. But talk to me about this, man. What's going on? You got to like what you're seeing, though.
I'm not even excited. I mean, I'm very excited to see what happened. Since we talked last, Chicago got scared, didn't want to play the postpone, didn't want to do a doubleheader because they were scared of the Miz, Jacob Mizorowski. They didn't want to face him. That's fine. You'll face him eventually. Don't worry. Freddie Peralta went out and got that dub the next day, so you split 1-1 with Cubs. It is what it is. You'll have to play a 4-gamer at some point with the Cubs. Then you went up to Minnesota, and I got tired watching those motherfuckers run around the bases because I was like, they just keep hitting and they just run all the time. It's hot up there. Oh my God. Mizorowski had a perfect game going into the 7th. Unfortunately, the Brewers decided to go about 15 minutes in an inning and just score 10 runs, it seemed like. It was just like, and then he came back out, gave up a walk, gave up a home run, which there goes a no-no. But when you win 17-6, I can't really complain. And then you blanked them 9-0, and then you won 9-8 when it was 9-3 in the 9th, and Minnesota gave you a little bit of scare. St. Louis, you went 3-1, as we talked about last week, and then you lost last night to Pittsburgh. I don't know, dude. Here's the thing about Pittsburgh, and I'll get to the matchup tonight because this is heavyweight battle tonight, and it's going to be exciting. It's going to be something we may not have seen before. Oh, not tonight. I'm sorry. Wednesday. Wednesday is going to be something nobody's ever seen before. Pittsburgh, it doesn't matter when. I can go back to 2018 when the Brewers were winning 95 games, 94 games, and the Pittsburgh Pirates were one of the worst teams in baseball, and every single time it was like, oh, let's go to Pittsburgh, let's sweep them, or at least take 75% of the series, and the Pittsburgh Pirates would just sweep us. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And then, we got the Dodgers, and we just got swept. Guess what? We just took 3 out of 4 from the Dodgers. How? Why? I don't understand this logic. Pittsburgh Pirates have just had the Brewers number for forever. Like, I don't understand it. It's just one of those teams where you're like, we should not lose, but we're losing. And that was like another thing last night. Like, Pittsburgh is one of the worst teams, probably a bottom 5 team in the league, except when Paul Skeens pitches. Even then, they still don't do it for it. And the Brewers just lose to them. I don't know what it is. I mean, we both played sports at all levels. This happens at every level where there's just a team that's like, we should not lose to this team on any given day and twice on Sunday. And guess what? We lose to it or it's a close game every fucking time. Don't understand it. But that's what the Pittsburgh Pirates is, and we have to just roll with it. Tonight, you got fastball Freddie on the mound. Hopefully Freddie could pitch another solid game like he did in Chicago. He got knocked around a little bit, but he held it strong for the win. The Brewers picked him up. Hopefully he can toss a gem. The bats are fine. When I mean fine, I mean like holy shit fine. Christian Yelich looks like 2018 Christian Yelich again. Like this Yelich, I'm like, I remember this guy, and I like it. Like, I want him all the time. Like, is hitting, I think, over 400. He has, like, 16 RBIs, 12 hits. It is unreal what he is doing right now. So we need to keep him going with that, though. Like, that's what I'm saying. Veterans need to step up. We don't have a Willie Adames anymore to spark if you're down 3-0 and it just kind of looks like a lull, you're flatlining. You don't have a Willie Adames anymore who would just knock a ball out of the park and then the ballpark comes alive, the team comes alive, the Brewers come alive. So it's got to be Christian Yelich. It's got to be Sal Frelick. It's got to be Jackson Chourio. It's got to be one of those dudes. And Christian Yelich right now, like last night, it was 4-2, and it was just like, man, we need a moment. We need an individual moment. And Yelich stepped up and went, I got you guys. And knocked one out of the park. Unfortunately, you lost 5-4. But I'm looking at Wednesday, bro. You got Paul Skeens, probably the best pitcher in baseball. Cy Young winner. Definitely has a hottest girlfriend in the league. Lady Dunn. God bless her soul. Thank you very much. But he is going up against Jacob Mizorowski. And, bro, I'm telling you this. This game may last only an hour and 30 minutes. I mean, I don't know if anybody's going to get a fucking bat on the ball. You got Skeens who just dials up 100, 101. You got Mizorowski who dials up 100 to 103. They both throw like 90-something mile an hour changeups. They throw 96 mile per hour slide. It is just, I'm like, the only reason, which knock on wood for this, but this is Mizorowski's like Achilles heel. The only reason this game lasts over 2 hours if Mizorowski can't find the zone. Like that's been his Achilles heel in the minors, but we haven't seen it because he's just come up and thrown strikes. And I think that's the message is yes, like the league nowadays is a home run hitting league, but with your velocity, if you can keep runners off base, if you could throw strikes, you're going to strike out. You may give up 1 run a game, maybe 2. But if you don't walk anybody, yeah, a guy or 2 might pop one out. But if you give up 1 or 2 runs a game, we can deal with that. Like if it's off a home run, we can deal with that. If you're just starting to walk guys over and over and then all of a sudden a guy hits a double, then you walk more guys, you're not getting outs, then you're not going to win. Late in his first 2 starts, he has just been basically going, here's my stuff, try to hit it. He's been throwing strikes. He hasn't been nibbling. I mean, he carved up a dude in Minnesota this past weekend where if I was him, I'd have just been like, here's my helmet, here's my bat. I'm going to take the week, all right? I can't play baseball for a week. Like, he made that's how stupid his stuff is. So, and Paul Skeens is the same way, and people already know Paul Skeens is going to go out there and he's like, I'm going to strike out 13 of you, and it's not even going to look hard. So, I think Skeens and Mizorowski are just going to dice up people. And it may be a 1-0 game, and it may only take an hour and 30 minutes, hour and 45 minutes. So, because these two are just, if they're both throwing strike, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And people may get there late, and it might be the 5th inning. Be like, it's only been 45 minutes. Jesus. So that's going to be a fun one on Wednesday at 1:10 pitch. But then when we reconvene next Tuesday, by then they have an off day on Thursday. Then you got Colorado Rockies at home. And I think the AAA team for the Milwaukee Brewers could come up here and probably take 2 out of 3 from the Colorado Rockies. Like the Colorado Rockies, let's look up how many wins they have this year, because it is not many. They have 18 wins this year out of 78 games. I'm not saying if you drop a game, I'm going to be disappointed, because it's baseball. Anybody can get got on any given day, but you really shouldn't drop a game against the Pirates or the Rockies. If you drop one, it better be half the team got hurt, half the team died. The umpires were blind and were just, hitting balls and shit. It has to be some asinine reason. It's going to make me mad if it's going to be like a 4-error game where the Brewers just absolutely shoot themselves in the foot, leave 12 runners on base with 10 of them in scoring position. It's going to be something stupid like that if they drop a game. But you should get 3 wins easily. And then when we reconvene, we got the Mets, which is going to be tough. But the Mets really haven't been, I don't think, playing the best this year. Oh, they're 46-43. So they've been playing some good ball. I mean, they got the talent. They just got talent to carry them. But you got your 3 best pitchers in Peralta, Mizorowski, and Quintana going against them for the Mets. So that could be 2 wins just because you have your 3 best pitchers going up against it. And then you got the dog shit Miami Marlins, and then you got Shohei and the Dodgers coming in, and you got Washington, who's a very solid ball club, coming in as well. I mean, I may have to look into going to see Shohei because that man is, even though he bets on games, and we all know it, it's fine. That dude is a freak of nature, and I hate that he's on the Dodgers, but he has to be, and I mean has to be, probably, he's going to go down as one of the best players to ever play the game of baseball. I don't even think it's asinine to say. I mean, and when I mean players, I mean name a player that has pitched the way he is. I mean, he's just coming back from Tommy John surgery, so let's see how his body responds to it because he pitched 1 inning and it looked brutal. Where I was like, maybe we should just not pitch ever again. Like, it was bad, dude. But when he was pitching before the Tommy John, he was a Cy Young candidate. And then, by the way, he won MVP that year too, and he was second in Cy Young. There has been no player in MLB history that has won Cy Young and the MVP. And it's not saying that pitchers can't win MVPs. They can, but they're not also hitting 50 home runs while doing it. Like Babe Ruth was a pitcher, but he wasn't nowhere near this. So I think I got to go see Shohei play once. I mean, thankfully, the schedule with the way the MLB does the scheduling now, he'll come to Milwaukee every year. So for as long as he plays, he'll come to Milwaukee every year. So it's not like he was with the Angels where you'd see him once every 8 years. No, you'll get to see him plenty. So, but if it falls, man, it would be a spectacle to watch that guy play. So, and then again, Washington. Milwaukee's 3.5 games out right now of first place. And yes, they've been playing really, really good baseball. Like, they have been playing some unreal baseball. But, there's no pressure on Milwaukee. It's all on Chicago. Like, Chicago's just like, we've won 46 games, and we're only 3.5 up. And the Brewers haven't even really been playing. Well, now they're playing well, but at the beginning of the season, they weren't playing at all. We were talking about maybe they're going to finish third. And the Cardinals are playing well now, too. They're only 3.5 out, too. So all that pressure is on Chicago right now. And with Milwaukee leapfrogs them, then the pressure stays with Chicago because everybody in Chicago right now thinks that they have the MVP of their team, which if they do, great. But now Chicago's there's a lot of talk, the trade deadline's coming, or at least the All-Star game's coming, which is where a lot of trades start manufacturing or materializing. The Cubs are going to be in a lot. They may get 3 stud players because they got money. They don't. I mean, they've spent, but the way the Cubs roll is they miser for a year or two. They don't really sploosh on anything, and then all of a sudden, like when they save up, they go. So I wouldn't be surprised if Chicago brought in 3 stud, either whether it be a mixture of pitchers and position players. They're gonna do it. They're going to clean house, and they're going to go for it this year because they think they have, and I think they have one of the best offenses in baseball. So I don't know what Milwaukee's going to look into. I think third base is probably your hole. Even though Caleb Durbin is playing really well, but that's a rookie. If you do get to October and play in the playoffs, I don't think you want to lean on a rookie. Or if you really want to get ballsy, shortstop. I mean, and there's not a lot of them. Or maybe you tinker with second base, get a second baseman and move Bryce Terang to short. I don't know. But the Brewers are going to be in a deal at least to get hopefully maybe a household name. But what's that going to cost? I don't know. So that's why I'm kind of nervous about it. And I don't know how much of it will go on. So we'll see, though. But the Milwaukee Brewers are in a really good spot right now, and they're playing really good baseball.
Oh, they definitely are. Big one, obviously, this week and next week. And obviously, when we go ahead and hit in July, just got to continue to stack them wins. Let's go ahead and talk about the good old Jim Bob Cooter section, which is one of my favorite sections that we went ahead and added. PGA. If you guys didn't watch Travelers Championship, Keegan Bradley went ahead and put an unreal performance to go ahead and get that crown. We will go ahead and get into that, and then we'll also get into the Ryder Cup and kind of where everything is shaking out right now. Keegan Bradley, let's go ahead here. I like to give stats because stats are always good to go ahead and talk about. Throughout the whole 4 rounds, minus 15, obviously, 22 birdies, 43 pars. He was 75% of basically hitting the green to make it the term easier for our listeners to go ahead and consume. So 75% of the time he was hitting greens. 61.1% he was hitting fairways. Scrambles, meaning that he maybe was out and he had to go ahead and come back in. He was 72.2% from making up shots. That is insane. I can't even go ahead and make up a shot when I'm just damn near on the green or on the fairway.
I can't even do 20%.
And then sand, obviously being the stand to go ahead and get out, he was 50%. That's always good. But the biggest one right there for me is just that scramble. 72.2%. He played extremely well. That final round, -2, went ahead and put the pressure on Fleetwood and went ahead and got the job done. Talk to me about the Travelers Championship before we get into talking about this.
So Keegan Bradley, again, he was there. All the pressure was on Tommy Fleetwood. None of it was really on Keegan Bradley because why? Tommy Fleetwood has 159 PGA Tour starts. He has no victories. So obviously you're thinking that's probably going to be in the back of his mind. And it looked to be so because he went 2 over for the day. So then Keegan Bradley has the power of basically being close to home. This tournament was in Connecticut, and he's a New England dude. You know, he's from the East. He's from that area. So he had kind of a little bit of a hometown advantage on that, where the crowd was just leaning more towards him than it was towards Fleetwood. I mean, even though it would have been nice to see Fleetwood win, it's not like I was rooting against him. But Tommy Fleetwood is a household name in the European Ryder Cup, and now you have the captain of the USA Ryder Cup, basically going head-to-head. So, and we've seen when Keegan Bradley gets momentum and gets crowd, and it feels the energy of the crowd and everything like that, he is dangerous. So he went out and put an impressive 2 under par, and Fleetwood kind of shot himself in the foot a couple times with 3 putts and just didn't make putts at all. And Keegan Bradley drained a 64-footer, which that was pretty good indication of Tommy Fleetwood's in big trouble right now.
Right.
So it was good to see the Ryder Cup captain do well and win, because it's starting. And before we get into that conversation, just a couple other notable finishes. Rory McIlroy and Scotty Scheffler finished tied for 6th with 12 under. Justin Thomas had a difficult Sunday, but he overall finished top 10. So that's good to see for Justin Thomas. Person what I didn't like to see out of was Xander Schauffele. He finished tied for 61. He's lucky that this tournament is a no-cut tournament, or else he probably would have been cut. Like, he did not play well. Hopefully he can turn it around, but usually right now, you don't like seeing guys who are going to represent the United States in the Ryder Cup playing badly. This is usually where those auto guys like Xander, and it's good to see JT played well. You like seeing those guys start playing well. So a little nervous about Xander, but he's going to be on the team anyway. This is the funniest thing, is that Scotty Scheffler on Friday and Saturday, put 2 double bogeys and a triple bogey on the card, and he finished tied for 6th. That's 7 strokes that he lost in a 10-hole stretch. If he maybe goes 1 over or 2 over, I mean, let's just call it 3 over, because 2 double bogeys and a triple bogey. He hit a lot of balls into the water, which he said this course is tough, even though he finished 12 under. The course is tough. And then last year he finished 22 under, won it through a playoff. So, but he looked like he was, let's put these into air quotes here, struggling with a measly 12 under. How dare he? But if that's scary to think of, is he lost 7 strokes in 3 holes, not in a row, but in a 10-hole stretch, and he still took 6th. You do not want this man to get red scorching hot, because if he does, he's going to go 5-0 in the Ryder Cup easily with no matter who he plays. And then on Sunday with his singles, he's just going to dominate. So if he figures it out, which he had a tough go at the U.S. Open, and then he returned here, had a pretty, I just call it pretty average Scotty Scheffler day, which that's the number one player in the world. His iron game, his ball striking hasn't been as pure as it usually is. So if he cleans that up, though, he's just going to be fine. And he's going to be another favorite for the Open. I mean, you can't not. I mean, Rory McIlroy might be a favorite for the Open instead of Scotty, only because it's in Northern Ireland, and that's where Rory's from. But if you're still looking at Scotty Scheffler, if he figures out his ball striking and he's on a good putting day, you might as well almost pack it in. So, but then we get back to Keegan Bradley, the winner. This is a great win for Keegan, but also this puts him in a really interesting spot. He is the captain of the Ryder Cup. And we've talked a lot about the Ryder Cup in the past couple episodes. There has never been a player who has been the captain of the Ryder Cup and played in the Ryder Cup, ever. Usually they pick an older guy. When it was in Wisconsin, it was Steve Stricker. Steve Stricker is well past his days of playing on the PGA Tour, but he's from Wisconsin and he knows USA Golf really well. Last year was Zach Johnson, who may not be playing well either, but he's won the Masters. He's been around Ryder Cups, so his probability of being in the top 12 or being picked or in the top 6 was very low, so he got to be picked there, which was an absolute fucking disaster. So Keegan Bradley, little backstory, Keegan Bradley was the last man out of the Ryder Cup last year, or 2 years ago, from Zach Johnson. Instead, Zach Johnson decided to bring the good old boy squad of Jordan Spieth, Justin Thomas, and Ricky Fowler, which Jordan Spieth wasn't playing that well. I mean, he was playing okay. Probably would have been deserved, which I was like, I didn't have a problem with that. But then he picked Justin Thomas, who absolutely wasn't playing well. But that one worked for him because JT was the Americans' best player. And then he picked Ricky Fowler, which was the only reason why is because Ricky decided to win a tournament a month beforehand. And Ricky was absolutely dog shit. But why? They're all good friends. And if you don't believe me, watch Full Swing Season 2. It'll all explain it. So Keegan Bradley was the last man out, and he absolutely should have been there instead of Ricky Fowler. So to USA Golf, the PGA of America, who decides the USA captain, threw him a bone, gave him captaincy, which I loved. I was like, I think this is going to be great. But now he's 9th in the standings. Top 6 get picked. If you're that close to the number 6 spot, and by the way, he's probably going to be playing in the Open. I would assume he's going to be playing in the Open. If he finishes well again, now we're talking like he has to pick himself and play, which you don't want to do because the captain has the captain can bounce around from group to group and tell groups like, okay, this is how this was playing when this guy played it 5 minutes ago. Just letting you know. Like, the captain is the only guy who could give advice to the teams. If you're busy playing, you don't really have a captain's advantage of that. So does the PGA of America go, okay, Keegan, if you pick yourself, we'll make you captain next year or the next Ryder Cup, but we're going to replace you as captain, but it'll be your team. There is a guy who's American who's going to be sitting around doing nothing. I think people may know him by the name of Tiger Woods, who I think would be a great captain. Now,
Absolutely.
Again, you let Keegan Bradley pick his team, but I think PGA of America goes, if you pick your team, it'll be your team, but we're going to have to relinquish your captaincy because we want that captain's advantage to give advice to the players that are playing on how the greens are reading, on if they're fast, how the wind was doing on this hole, literally one hole ago, that type of stuff. That way, Keegan Bradley can focus on the Ryder Cup, and Keegan Bradley was very good in a Ryder Cup. Like, he is the type of fiery emotion guy that gets the crowd going, and he feeds off the energy of the crowd, which is what the Ryder Cup has become. So he did I think he did say it was quoted early in the season, not like last week, that he was only going to play in the Ryder Cup if he was the top 6. But I don't want him to not pick himself, even if he's outside the top 6. He needs to play. Like, I think he is, and unfortunately right now, there is JJ Spawn and Russell Henley. Henley tied for second. Really good weekend for him. Justin Thomas, Colin Morikawa has fallen out of the top 6 auto pick, but I still think he'll be an auto pick. Harris English, another really good weekend. Maverick McNeely didn't have a great weekend, but I think he'll make it. And then you just have such a tough decision to make. Patrick Cantlay, usually your Ryder Cup weapon, as I've said many times, is starting to drop a little bit, but he's a guy who shows up to the Ryder Cup and all of a sudden he's world class. So I think you may substitute guys like Maverick McNeely, even though he's played pretty well, but if he's not playing well during the Ryder Cup, I don't think he has the name to be like, okay, you're picked because you're this person. Patrick Cantlay, Brian Harmon not playing very well either. He could be on the outside looking in. He might not get picked. Well, other than that, we're starting to really, really see who's probably going to be in this Ryder Cup. And Keegan Bradley, as a captain, has to look at it of, okay, if it wasn't me, have I been playing well enough to get picked? And the answer is simply yes. Like, he's been on the bubble for the past 2 months to the point where it's like, okay, if you didn't pick him, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. But now you've won a tournament. Now you're proving, like, oh man, you are probably worth picking. Like, you can't deny when he's ranked 9th. So this is going to make the Ryder Cup so much more interesting if the captain picks himself, which the only other time I remember a captain playing in a tournament style like this was Tiger Woods when he was captain of the President's team. His first pick, guess who he picked? Shocking, him. And guess what he did? Oh yeah, he did really fucking good. And that was in 2014. So I think Keegan Bradley has to do it. He's a Ryder Cup dude. I would, if it was any other captain and we were talking about this, Keegan Bradley I'd be like, hey, I think Keegan Bradley's in. Like, he has to look at, he can't try to play the humble pie, which I like that in a guy being like, you know what, I don't want to put myself. No, I'd be like, these are professional athletes. Usually professional athletes are like, I deserve this, but right. You can't. I think you'd be doing disservice to the team if you tried to be that guy that's like, you know what, I'm going to give another guy a shot. I don't want to be selfish. No, be selfish. Unless, again, if he misses the cup at the Open and he just doesn't do well down the stretch and he feels like, you know what, I don't think my game's here, fine. But if he plays well in the Open and he plays well down the stretch, if he makes it into the FedEx Cup playoff and he gets top 50 there, I think he's got to pick himself. So it's going to be really interesting. Again, we got the Open coming up here in a couple of weeks, and that's in Northern Ireland. Again, Rory's home country. That is July 17th. So we got a nice break from big time golf between Signature and the major events. So nothing really huge going on. Probably some smaller tournaments, but the last big tournament of the year, a major, is the Open, and then we got the FedEx Cup playoffs, which we'll talk about when we get closer to that as well. But we got golf is hot right now, people. Like, we're talking about golf. Like, get into it. Again, I keep boasting up this Ryder Cup. Even if the Americans lose, which again, God hope we don't do that, it's still just something totally different to watch when it comes to aura and the crowd and how players react. It's absolutely crazy. I can't wait for it. It's a great way to end the summer in the sense of, I know baseball is more the World Series, the Fall Classic. I think this is like the great ending to the summer because it's the end of September. And then that's kind of when the leaves start changing. It gets a little chilly. Maybe it doesn't become such great golf weather. Again, it's going to be fun. It's going to be great. It's at Bethpage Black, and Bethpage Black is not an easy course to play. Either it's not quite US Open, but it's a challenge. And it's just a fantastic tournament for golf. It's nothing like we've ever seen before.
Absolutely. Well, with that, my good people, you guys have a wonderful week, wonderful weekend. You know we're your sports when it comes to Packers, Brewers, Milwaukee. We're here, man. We will see you guys next weekend. Peace out, everybody. We'll see you.